You know, I never intended to really do it. I wanted attention. Ah, my finger's chubby. Hello, foodie beauties. Okay, story time. So remember how I told you that I was living in a group home when I was like 16, 17? I was sent there by my mom. I was horrible. She had me young. She had me at 17. I was the only child. Well, I have a sister, but she was so young, you know? And I was the only child for so long. I was 11 when she was born. I was a spoiled brat, plain and simple. When I didn't get my way, I freaked out. You know, that and your teen angst issues, daddy abandonment issues. I was always seeing a child psychologist. I was put on several medications, whatever. And I think I just had, like, spoiled brat syndrome. I was sent to the group home following, you know, a major incident. You know, I never intended to really do it. I wanted attention. I knew that gave me power, threatening that. I wanted to hurt people. One day I was fighting with my mom about something. I don't even remember. Probably at that time because I wanted to go sleep at my boyfriend's and be allowed to screw him all hours of the night at my age. What parent is going to allow that, right? None. I'm just pigging right out. We were fighting. I emptied out half my bottle of, I think it was Zoloft I was on. Antidepressants or something. I showed her the bottle and I said, I'm going to kill myself. I took half the bottle. And I hadn't. I really didn't. So she's like, what? You better, are you kidding? Are you kidding? She was freaking out, you know. And then she was like, I'm going to take you to the hospital. So she took me to the hospital. I had the bitchiest nurse ever. Like, ever. She was a bitch. She was an older nurse. She was probably working on the field for like 35 years. And she's just seen one too many punk kids like me threatening suicide. And then she was like, you're going to drink this. It was like a drink. I think it was charcoal. It neutralizes the drug. And I was like, oh no, what if this, you know, I really didn't take the pills. So what if the charcoal has a negative effect if you haven't taken any pills, you know? So like, shit, I actually better take the pills. I bolted for the bathroom and the nurse was like, hey, where are you going? You know, they didn't want to leave me alone. I was on watch. And I was like, in the bathroom, I'm like, I'm taking the rest of the pills. So in the bathroom, I actually took some pills. Then I thought I'll just drink the charcoal. You guys probably think I'm nuts. I was. Slenderman's here with my pizza. Slenderman's here with my pizza. Slenderman's here with my pizza. I come out and the nurse is just friggin' livid. Why did you do that? But like, she was just yelling at me. I didn't really take them before. I just said that. But now I actually did. The nurse was like, I think she was ready to retire because of me. They put me in a room, make me drink that. And they decided I was going to stay the night. And they put me in a room with someone else. Another youthful girl around my age. They put me beside an anorexic girl. She had anorexia. I made friends with her. She was being tube fed Ensure all day. Well, for her meals, not all day, but for her meals. And it was sad because her family would come often. You could tell her family really loved her. And they would bring her all kinds of candy, big tubs of gummy bears, and just junk food surrounded her bed. We're talking. We become friends. And I was just like, man, those candies. I had said to her at some point, are you going to eat those candy? And I think she kind of caught on because she gave them to me. She gave me her candies. So basically, what ended up happening was I was in that hospital until they could find room for me at this youth type of cottage retreat thing at the mental facility where I actually ended up working. That was my last job. So I went to this psychiatric cottage thing for youth with other psychiatric problems. I did not belong there, guys. I did not belong there, guys. I did not belong there, guys. Every single other person there was absolutely fucking Looney Tunes. Like, really out to lunch. Like, I stole liquor and pretended to kill myself. These people, like, oh my god. One guy I remember, James guy, he was really out. Like, he was like, he had this, like, always this look on his face, like, you know, the lights are on, but there's no one home kind of look. Like, you know, like he's gonna be a serial killer someday if they don't catch it, you know, that kind of guy. And he would always make a, like, oh, he would throw tantrums, and I thought he was gonna murder us all, you know. Because, you know, at breakfast one day, I don't know why, but they gave him exceptions. Like, we had a specific diet, healthy. You know, they would give you 1 packet of salad dressing instead of just putting as much as you want, for example. Him, he had, you know, maybe because he was so large and they wanted to wean him off gradually because they didn't want him to be triggered. But they allowed him a bigger breakfast. Like, he would have 2 eggs, cereal, and then what we had. And they wouldn't cook his eggs right, like, ever. I don't know if the guy was fucking with him on purpose. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. I don't know if the guy was messing with him on purpose or what, but he would always make his eggs over easy. And he wanted them, you know, sunny side up more. Like, he wanted the yolk runny. I remember just, like, thinking, you know, about the chef, like, or the cook. Like, bitch, if I get murdered over a runny yolk, I'm gonna kick your ass. I was like, I don't need to be here. I'm not crazy like these people, you know. I was planning an escape, okay? Yeah, I went AWOL. I ran away. Just listen. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go for a smoke. And I'm gonna keep running. And this is bad, but I knew I could manipulate my grandmother into feeling bad and not making me go back there. So another girl that was there, I had asked her, I said, do you have a quarter? She's like, she knew. She was like, you're gonna run away, aren't you? I went for a smoke, and the minute I lit up, maybe waited a few seconds, started bolting. I found a laundromat. I've tried to find somewhere where I had a payphone. Back then it was still payphones. So I finally found a dingy, like, we're in like the ghetto area of town. It was like a dingy laundromat. And there were some sketchy people out there. I was worried. You know, I'm young. It was middle of the night. It was probably like 11 o'clock. I'm like, please answer the phone because this is my only quarter. She was like, she answered, hello. Told her my sob. I started crying. I said, I'm not like them, Grandma. I'm not crazy. She was really upset. She called my aunt. Demanded she pick me up. She was hysterical. My aunt was not happy, you know, like manipulating my grandmother to, you know, because they wanted me to stay there. They thought it would be good for me. No way. I just wanted to share that with you. Yeah, so I went AWOL. And, you know, well, my mom was like, well, you're not coming back here. I ended up getting placed at that home for teens who had nowhere to go. Foodie beauties. What's up? So I wanted to talk about, like, irrational fear. So, do you guys watch Maury? Have you ever seen when he used to have those episodes of, he'd have people on his show totally exploiting them. People who had irrational fears of things like peaches, pickles, tinfoil, chickens. I remember one episode, this lady, the opening credits begin and all you see is the stage, you know, the camera pans out to the stage and all you see is this woman and she's like, she's rocking and she's looking down and she's like, and she's like blubbering, and Maury probably gets some sick pleasure out of it. He's like, everybody meet Denise. You know, Denise is visibly upset. Why don't you tell them, Denise? You have a big fear, don't you? He's like rubbing it in. And she's like, yes. He's like, you have a fear of, like, Denise has a fear of chickens, don't you, Denise? And she's like, oh God, yes. You know, and he's like, Denise, why don't you take a look, turn around and take a look at the big screen behind you. And she's like, oh no. And he's like, Denise, turn around and look at the screen. Go on. She turns around. It's a whole bunch of chickens playing in the yard, clucking away. She freaks out. Like, you know, you gotta wonder if the producers are like, act tortured. And then all of a sudden, somebody, you know, an employee of the Maury show, some man in a giant chicken suit comes out from backstage, starts chasing poor Denise all around the set. She's running up through the aisles. You know, people in the audience are like dumbfounded. Anyway, it ends up with her shakily petting a chicken at the end, making progress, you know. Then there was another woman who was afraid of tinfoil. So they brought out all kinds of friggin' origami made out of tinfoil, like the Eiffel Tower or whatever. I'm like, what a friggin' retarded show. Excuse me. Why are you drinking my ice water when I just gave you some of your own water? Thanks. After licking your ass, you drink my drink. Okay. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. The other day, I went grocery shopping. I took my grandma grocery shopping. I help her out. There was a woman there who kind of freaked me out because I didn't know what she was. I mean, okay. She seemed really angry. And I get it. I don't know what was going on in her life. She, we're in the produce aisle. And, I didn't even notice, like, I was standing there waiting for my grandma to pick out tomatoes. Like, she's the kind of person that has to, like, look at every single fruit or vegetable in the bag. I'm like, Grandma, there's not going to be 8 perfect oranges in the bag. And, I mean, like, even if there's, like, a little line of, like, brown, she won't get it on, like, one of the fruit. I'm like, it's not what's on the outside that counts. It's what's on the inside. Don't judge a fruit by its rind. Like, whatever. We're looking through the tomatoes or oranges or whatever. I just looked over for, like, a second. I wasn't staring. I looked over at this woman behind us who was looking through the head lettuce. Like, iceberg lettuce. And our eyes caught. And I just made a smile at her. And she looked at me and she went, I was like, whoa. Okay. Okay. That's how it's gonna be. I thought she's probably just like, I was shocked, but I thought she might be disturbed. Just gonna ignore her. For the rest of the time she was in the produce aisle after that, I don't know what I did. She probably thought I was laughing at her. She took the head lettuce and threw it in her cart all hard. And then she took like a lemon and shot it in her cart. And my grandma, I'm trying to be quiet, but she kind of said it loud. She's like, I think there's something wrong with that lady. I'm like, she's gonna hear you. She's gonna kill us. So the whole rest of the time we're in the store, I'm like trying to avoid. My grandma needed Q-tips. She was in the kind of beauty Q-tip aisle. The woman went down there too. She was buying baby food. And she was still like grunting to herself, like, you know, she was making like weird noises anyway. I just thought of a story. Oh, I better not. It's just about this woman we used to work with. I just won't mention her name, of course, and then she can't sue me for slander because she's the type of woman who would. She's crazy. Crazy. Oh man, I have to tell you about her sometime. I befriended her at one point and then for some reason she turned against me. Like, I don't know what happened. I can't even remember why she hated me all of a sudden. I don't even think I did anything to her. She lived in my hometown. Her dad died. And then I read that in the paper. And I was like, no. I feel bad because she was so close to her father. She probably couldn't say goodbye, you know. It's really sad. And she kept his body in the bathtub. Until one day the neighbors noticed a smell. You know how that goes. When I saw that in the paper, I was like, really? Oh my god. And this girl had it out for me. I don't know why. I really don't. She was just like, hated everybody. She was miserable, miserable. And it was just her and her dad. And I feel bad. And their dog, like, I don't want to say anything bad about an animal, but I don't know what was wrong with their dog. Its nipples hung so low.
Like, her dog had some saggy ass tits, man. They would, when the dog would walk, they would wobble around. I'm like, Jesus. But yeah, I can't even eat that now, actually. I ruined my own appetite. Hey guys, what is up? How are you? How are you? On my way to buy the ingredients for this collab, some interesting things happened to me. So I decided, I love going for drives at night. I put on YouTube and I listen to drama videos, or I listen to other people's videos. I was driving and I came to a main intersection and there was like not another living soul, not a car, nothing, except on the other side of the intersection there was a man. I think he was probably homeless or something, you know, I don't know. He had a big cardboard sign and he was just standing on the other side. And he sees my car, and that's a long, like the light is long at nighttime. So I'm sitting there waiting, and I'm looking at him and I'm like, oh fuck, don't come over to me. If I gave money to every single person, and at major intersections in Ottawa there's always people like, you know, crack addicts, homeless people walking in between the cars begging for money. And if I gave money to every single person that did that, I'd be poor. I'm begging myself. I just didn't want to be bothered, and he was kind of creepy. He looked like Stephen King, actually. But he had this big, goofy, like, look on his face the whole time, just like walking over to me like this with his cardboard. And then he starts waving non-stop the whole time that I'm at the stop sign. He's at the stop lights. He's like staring at me to get me to try and look at him. But I'm only looking at him with my peripheral vision, because if I make eye contact, that's it. So as he's getting closer, I can see the sign says, hi. I don't know word for word what it said, but my name is Clifford. And I'm deaf. And I'm like, no, you're not. Just say you're broke and you need money for your next hit. Like, I would be more likely to give somebody money for drugs if they were just honest about it than if they said they were deaf. As soon as I see I'm deaf, I'm like, and you think I should have the opposite effect of that, be more compassionate, but no, because all of the scammers ruined it for everybody. You know, I'm blind, or, you know, it's not true most of the time. They're like right at my window waving nonstop and like trying to get my attention, and I'm like not looking, I'm just like looking all bitchy straight ahead, like I'm ready to run this red light. There's no cars around. Clifford is like a step away from opening my door and turning my face towards him. Finally the light turns and I speed away. I go to drive home and I forgot about Clifford. Took the same way home. I should have taken a different route. Same deal. I get to the intersection. Clifford's there, waving in my face like a maniac. It was the way he was looking at me, like, it was so, like, maniacal. I don't know, he probably had a mental illness or something. I had to go to the psych ward to have, like, after hours. We don't like to change medications at the psych emerge because we don't want to step on the toes of your psychiatrist who's treating you. This time it was like you get sent to a ward. There's like 4 rooms. I was put in a room and like the walls were like very, very white. It looked like a typical asylum room. Just a chair, white walls, and a camera so that you don't harm yourself, which somebody behind some glass is always watching. Now one of the patients only spoke Arabic. This girl, only speaking Arabic, she had plastic gloves on, or rubber gloves, and she was smoking a pencil. She opens the door and comes and sits in the doorway to my room. She's like, hi, then starts speaking in Arabic, and I was like, oh my god. She's like, I was like, wow. Oh god, I'm special. Hey guys, hey, how are you? How are you? Well, and here, what can we name this guy?
Let's name him Marshall. And that's inspired by what I'm about to talk about. But I'm really interested in like cults. So I was reading a while ago on this cult called Heaven's Gate. And I think what really stood out, besides the mass suicide, was the pictures of the bodies that are online. They're all wearing the same Nikes. And you can buy these Nikes. They're expensive on like eBay for that reason, because they don't make them anymore. From what I hear, Nike pulled them after that happened. The cult leader is named Marshall Applewhite. So his name is Marshall. Now you might hear mass suicide and think, oh, that's horrible. But for these people who were manipulated, they believe that that was the only way for them to reach this level of transcendence. They still have a website up, from what I understand. So if you want to check it out, heavensgate.com. On March 26, 1997, that's when they decided to do it. They drank the Kool-Aid or whatever they did. They drank the Kool-Aid or whatever they did. They drank the Kool-Aid or whatever they did. All wore the same uniform. Those creepy Nike shoes sticking out. And they all did the mass suicide thing.
They killed themselves inside their rented Rancho Santa Fe mansion over a period of several days, in small groups. They put on matching black pants and shirts and black and white Nikes, took phenobarbital mixed with applesauce, washed down with vodka. Then they put plastic bags and purple shrouds over their heads and died in their bunk beds.
All right. Say bye, Marshall. Bye. All right, guys. So that's it. Look at the mad stretch. I'm probably triggering someone. Oh my god.